We're done with Hogwarts Legacy. Let's watch this debate.
Okay, I'm doing nuts. Okay,
it's debate review. Moist critical debates XQC on the Darmon situation. Oh, this is my favorite type of content.
Okay, it's like a slippery slope. It's like a slippery slope coming up. Okay, to me, it feels like the argument is like, yo, dude, they work for something that is very successful and makes a lot of money. Therefore, they're entitled to more. Just like, let's say, Amazon is popping off. They're like $1 billion company, right? Well, technically, the dude could, Bezos could afford to make every employee $150K a year, right? Without affecting much of the company's worth. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, should he? Probably not. That's just my take.
So I can see why you'd want to draw that comparison. It's just in this field that's not really apt. Actors are being paid, as I understand it, almost exactly what they were being paid when the channel made $0, had 0 subscribers, and they were contractors as opposed to employees, which isn't unusual, especially for that kind of field.
Yeah, but well, you know how much that is? I don't cut you off. I want to make some quick maths here. Did they ever release how much they're making?
Quick maths.
How many hours that they're working on? Because I watched a video and I couldn't take it at face value because I feel like there's a lot loaded in here that isn't being unpacked.
Dude, I love thinking that XQC is just taking this position because he's like an avid Darmon fan. And for no other reason. I don't think that's the case, but I do like thinking that. You know what I mean? He's like, no, I have to defend Darmon. Like, he is my favorite content creator. Can you provide context for the uninformed? Yes. Darmon is a massive, internationally successful YouTube content creator who's basically defined an entire genre on its own. Darmon makes like super easy to consume like videos that are very stupid. Okay, like they're incredibly stupid. As someone who crewed at Darmon, XQC doesn't even know how bad it is crew side. We've only covered what it's like for the actors and not even crew side. It was literally a YouTube sweatshop for the crew. They only cared about views and 0 care about the quality. Yeah. He appeals to those who do not speak native English language. So XQC, you are making a very good point. Hasan's HRT dealer. Maybe that's the reason why. He makes videos where it's like, you know, a bully, here's what happens when a bully goes too far and then the bully's victim turns around and like flexes on them with wads of cash. The thing that I explained to you is a real video starring SSS Sniper Wolf. So if you want to check that out on your own time, you can do so. Anyway, turns out he shockingly is not paying his actors or his crew all too well. Now, this is a common practice for YouTube channels in general. It's common practice for the internet space in general. But it's additionally weird for Darmon because, like, one, he has, I guess, cultivated like an overall positive outlook. Like, people perceive him as like a positive person, which I don't know why, but like if you watch his content, it's like kind of odd to think that. But overall positive image, yes. But also because like he makes a lot of money, not just on his YouTube videos that are insanely successful, but also a lot of money on merchandise and a lot of money on, it's like a relatively low budget operation that churns out a load because like they're repurposing it on, wait, this is the best gift from Darmon.
Oh my God.
No, this is not a Darmon video. This is a Darmon wannabe clip. Anyway, he makes a lot of views. He makes a lot of money and generates a lot of views on Facebook as well.
I could not come to the same conclusion as you.
No, so you mean like actual figures? Have they released their salaries?
Yeah.
No. And as far as how much they're working, you can only speculate. But since Darman uses the same actors and contracts them as opposed to puts them on payroll, you can kind of extrapolate that since...
Look, this is some of the videos. Black lady mistreated by her boss. What happens next is shocking. Male boss treats female employees unfair at work. He lives to regret it. Evil boss mistreats his worker. Mean bosses mistreating employees. They live to regret it. And like, look at the views, like 12 million. And then another 100 million on Facebook.
For example, Colin, who plays Steve in most of the content, I think he's been in roughly like at least, and this is a ballpark, like 40% of his videos in some capacity. That's still a lot of hours. Like that's a decent chunk of hours, and he is not getting paid the standard that an actor working those hours would be paid. And the reason there's a protest is because they understand, like, they're not entitled to more money, though I think it's only fair given the work they put in, and as it's grown so much, Darman, being in his position, would want to take care of his actors. The reason they're protesting is because he refuses to even speak with them on their payroll, and instead fires them if they bring it up, or dodges them since he's pushed their last 3 meetings and then just completely canceled the 4th. So the reason specifically for the protest isn't even the suboptimal pay, it's the fact that he will not even talk to them about it. And if you bring it up, you get fired.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I agree with that part. The only thing I agree with.
Why won't I debate critical on what we agree? Well, we would just be like sitting across from one another agreeing.
You say, oh, a problem exists, let's talk about it, and you delay it while they're still working. So yeah, then I agree with that 100%. Just felt like it was hard to have the conclusion. Because what is this, like LA based?
Yeah, so Darman Studios is LA based, yeah. So they have 3 sound stages in Burbank, I believe.
Okay. So it felt to me that, LA rent is it's a disaster. And I was like, well, if the concern is that they can't pay rent and they're contractors, right? I'm like, but the amount of people that are over there, how much hours could they be realistically putting in? And I'd be like, well, of course you can't pay rent of the salary of this one YouTube channel's like intermittent appearances. I mean, that's there's not much you can do here. Like,
yeah. So I think I see what's going. I think you're under the impression that what they're looking for is a like full-time job salary to cover everything. As I understand it, that's not really the case. So all of these people, they are contractors. They're not employees. They're not allowed to be employees for Darman. But they have other job opportunities, I imagine, other income sources. But the pay that they're receiving from Darman is not industry standard, and it's not acceptable for the amount of work they're putting in. Like, the amount of hours they're doing with their work for him is not being compensated fairly by Darman. That's where the issue stems from.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, then that thing's the point. Say if they're contractors, did they agree to a contract? What happened in between this time that they signed for something that they're going to be paid a certain amount for a certain amount of hours, and then why are they upset now? Is it because the channel's more successful and there's more money to be made, but they're not getting a portion of it that they think it's fair? I mean, in my opinion, the way I feel about it, if I'm coming into a job as a contractor and they're telling me, hey, you're gonna be paid $20 an hour and you're working 8 hours a week flat, right? So that's all I can offer you, right? And I say yes. Well, I have to come to terms with the fact that I'll be paid $20 an hour, 8 hours a week flat. That's the end of the story, right? And if that's not adequate for me anymore, right? Well, I quit.
Well, so that's the stage they're reaching. But they're not quitting, they're getting fired for trying to negotiate. So as this has scaled up, the productions have scaled up, he's releasing multiple videos a week, their hours have scaled up, but their contract...
So he hit him with a classic, well, they paid they signed a contract, like, suck it up. You know what I mean? Which, you know, you can renegotiate, and you should be able to renegotiate. And if you're not able to renegotiate and you get fired, then I think it's valid to, you know, be upset about that.
And their pay haven't reflected the extra work that's going into it. But instead of being able to talk about it to, like, negotiate a more fair pay, a better rate for their work, he's just firing them or refusing to talk to them.
Well, I didn't see that. I wish there was like a video explaining that. So, from what I saw, I think this comes from a position where you know more than the video lets on. Because what I'm getting in the video, I don't have enough to make these conclusions. I just don't.
So when he says, like, we're taking on all of these hours, we're taking on these jobs for Darman, but we can't afford to even have this, like, help with our rent, that's not, like, an alarming thing for you to hear? Because I think even just taking it at face value, it's like, You would think for something this successful with this many appearances throughout all of this content that's generating this level of income on the back of their talent that's been there since the start, you would think that they'd be on some kind of good payment system, right? Like, wouldn't you try and draw that conclusion? Like, for example, this is a stupid comparison, but I'm going to go big here. And I think for Darman, it's kind of fair. Someone like Steve is a star. In the same way that Robert Downey Jr. was a star for Marvel. Would you expect him to be working for the same pay as that continued to scale up as he was at the beginning? Because I think the answer should be no.
Oh, wait. That was complicated.
He's right, and he should say it. Steve is the Robert Downey Jr. of the Dharma. Dude. Has XC worked in his life? Yes, he has. Yeah, he's actually done more than the average Twitch streamer has, surprisingly.